if you're in high ticket sales and you'd like to be making more money, in this video, I'm gonna show you how you can realistically get a 2x in your commissions in the next 30 days. Okay, this is without getting any better at sales. This is without getting any more leads from your marketing department using strategies that you've probably never heard of. The reality is most closers in our industry, they focus on doing generic sales training, taking their calls on the day, doing their best, hoping that things get better. And then ultimately they don't really. You don't get the instant results that you're looking for. Your income stagnates, you get frustrated, you blame your offer, you blame your marketing, and you get nowhere. And it's tough. And I know this because I've been there. That's exactly where I was a couple years ago. And you know what happened was I reached a point where I got annoyed with it and I made a decision to switch it up. Take on a few different sales activities, take on new strategies within my sales process to, one, create more opportunities for myself, and two, to maximize those opportunities before I even hop on sales calls. What those strategies did for me when I implemented it, it took me from making 16K in the previous 2-week sales period to doing 66K in the next 2-week sales period. And it allowed me to go on a 5-month run where I became one of the top closers on this particular offer. And over the last couple of years, I've taught dozens of closers how to do this. Recently in August, I had a closer who was making $1,500 in commissions. We sat down at the start of September. I had him implement everything that I'm going to be sharing in this video. And in September, he did 50K in total sales, making $5,000 in commissions, almost 3-4x on his total sales in a single month. In this video, I'm going to be showing you exactly how you can do the same. Get your pen and paper out and let's get started. So what are we going to be covering in this video? First of all, we're going to talk about the 3 instant commission levers that you can pull that I almost guarantee you're not pulling right now. These are going to be different sales activities that you can implement into your current sales process. They're going to allow you to make more money. I'm going to go over how you should properly be looking at sales training and how you should be analyzing your calls. That way, any of the sales training that you do is focused on the lowest hanging fruit where you can put the minimum amount of training in to get the maximum result. And then most importantly, I'm going to show you how you can actually implement all of this within your current day-to-day, month-to-month routine. So you don't just learn what you can be doing, but you can actually implement this to go and make more money at the end of this month. Okay, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there and it's interesting to learn more about different sales strategies, but my goal, I want you to take this information, use it, and go and make more money because of it. This is really effective stuff, and I've seen so many people see such massive jumps in commission because of it, and I hope that you become one of those individuals. So what most closers do, we kind of touched on this, but most closers, they take their 2 to 4 calls a day, they show up, try hard, hope for the best. In between those calls, they kind of waste time, like they're doing basic training, call reviews, watching sales videos, and then they kind of just wait and hope for marketing to improve, to get more leads coming in, and for things to get better. And the reality is like waiting for things to get better is literally the definition of brokey behavior, right? We want to take control over our outcomes and especially the money that we're making at the end of every month. So how do we make more money in sales, right? Fundamentally, there's 2 ways to do it. Number one is you get better at sales. You develop your skill set. How do you do it? Is with call reviews, role plays, sales training. The problem with this is that there's diminishing returns. When a closer just starts out, like there's pretty massive jumps that you can make in your skill set in a pretty short amount of time. But after you've reached a baseline skill level, it might take you like a solid 3, 4, 5, 6 months to really see big 50, 100% jumps in terms of your commission, right? It's not bad. It's obviously important. I'm not shitting on sales training in this video, and we're going to touch on how you should be doing sales training in this video, but it's slow. That's the problem. And if you're anything like me, it's like you want to make more money next month, right? You're trying to move with some urgency and you don't want to stay in the same spot for much longer, right? That's where sales activities come into play. And I love these. The reason why I love them is because it takes 0 skill. Sales activities are simply things that you can do, right? You just make a decision to do them. You check a box and they make you more money. These are things that you can implement and see results with immediately. And this is what the big dogs do. Like when you look at guys who are making 6 figures, multi-6 figures, yes, they're very good at sales, but most importantly, they are maximizing every possible opportunity that they have, because at the end of the day, like you never want your income to be in the marketer's hands, right? You want to be able to take control over your income, whether marketing is doing well or whether it's not. So what are sales activities? What a sales activity fundamentally is, it's any action that leads to more leads being on your calendar or any action that makes leads more likely to buy. The 3 highest ROI sales activities that we have, number 1 are triage calls, upsells, and outbound calls. Most closers do none of these. They just kind of expect to be glorified cashiers. They take their inbound calls, they pitch them, try to close them, and then they just wait for their next call to come in. Implementing these 3 things, honestly, can pretty easily lead to a 2x in your commission, depending on where you're currently at. If you're just starting out, this could lead to like a 3, 4, 5x in your commissions if you do this right. So first of all, triage calls. Let me give you a little bit of background as to why I even started doing triage calls. Because when I started doing this, I wasn't aware of the term triage. I found myself all the time, I would be like explaining concepts over and over again. I would be educating my prospect on a specific thing that they needed to be aware of about my niche over and over and over again. And that was kind of like a prerequisite that I needed to establish for them to buy my thing. I found that they would book calls and then they would, show up to the meeting and they had done very little research on the offer. They weren't really aware of my client or the industry, etc. And they were just hopping on the call looking for more information and looking to learn more, right? And I would go through all of this effort and all of this work to get them to where I can actually close them, only for me to spend an hour on a call and then get some bullshit objection. How can I get people showing up to calls already having done all of that? How can I get the maximum amount of people as informed as possible on our industry, on the client that I'm selling for, before I even speak with them? And that's where I started doing triage calls. What I did was I would call up my leads the day before our meeting. I would go through a quick condensed discovery, right? Figure out where they are, where they want to be, maybe some quick challenge as well. What I would do is I would reframe any potential misconceptions that they have or any limiting beliefs that they would have. I would plant a seed as to how they should be thinking about it differently on the triage. At the end of this 5-10 minute triage call, I would send them specific assets that are tailored to them. That way they consume it before our call. The reason why this is so effective is because this call, it's seen as a value call, right? Like your prospect isn't expecting it. And then when they get a call from you ahead of their scheduled meeting, you go through a quick conversation, you build some rapport, you identify a misconception that they have, and you reframe it, right? And you show them how they should be actually thinking about it. And then now all of a sudden, they're going to be a lot more receptive to that because there's no agenda. I'm not trying to close you on this triage call. It's simply just a quick value call essentially, right? And then now when I actually address that specific limiting belief or misconception on the closing call, it's going to be so much easier. And chances are it's going to already be solved by then. 2 would be the tailored asset, right? Where my goal is really before our scheduled meeting, I want my lead to already like me, already thinking about the business model the way I want them to. And they've already watched 30 to 60 minutes of sales assets and nurturing material before they show up. All of a sudden, my calls just got so much easier. Every time I would triage someone, it was just such an easier sales call. It took me less time. I had to do less objection handling, less challenging, etc. And then I started doing this on every single call. And to this day, I get all of my closers during their free time. I get them doing this as much as possible. What is a triage call? So pretty straightforward. The way that you want to look at it, number one is like you might call your prospect ahead of the meeting and then might be like, oh, well, why are you calling me? Or yeah, I just wanted to reach out ahead of that call just to make sure that our meeting is as productive as possible. You got a few minutes to chat. You're going to go through a really basic discovery, right? So like really surface level, you're not going to go too deep. You're going to save that for the main sales call. You just want to figure out like the general gap, where they are, where they want to be, and what are some of the things that's stopping them from getting there. A really good triage is when you jump into challenge a little bit. Maybe you've identified that they have a lack of belief. They don't really believe that they can see results fully. Now, that's something that you're going to address, right? If they have some skepticism, whatever, right? A lot of the times I'll tell a quick story here, right? So either a personal story or a client story about someone else or myself who had that same limiting belief, how they overcame it, and the result that they got. I did a couple million selling e-com offers, and a lot of people would think, for example, they would spend months like looking for the best product to sell, right? And I can't find a winning product. I don't know how to find the best product, blah, blah, blah. We're selling an offer that fundamentally, yes, it helps them with the products, but it really teaches them how to master the marketing side of this. With any industry misconception, you want to use the everybody thinks this, actually it's that framework, right? It's really simple, but it's really effective. I would say something like, yeah, that's super common. I've been in this space for a little while, I've taken a lot of these calls, and a lot of people, they get really caught up on finding the best product. And yes, having a good product is important. And the reality is how you actually market that product is 10 times more important. And a lot of people, they just get stuck for months and they make no progress because they're looking for that one product that's going to blow up for them. When in reality, all you have to do is just figure out how to market, and you can use any product to see results. When you shift a belief about, in your prospect's mind, instantly now they see you as an expert. And that's really what we want to create on this triage calls. We want to create that frame before our main sales meeting. I have a full video that goes over triage calls. I'll link it up here to watch after this one. Also important, the outro, okay? What we want to do is we want to get our prospect consuming sales assets before our next meeting. So what we'll say is something like this. Okay, great. Well, listen, based on what you told me, it sounds like we can definitely help. I got to hop off here, but what I want to do, I want to send you you over a video that just goes over a little bit about what we talked about on this call. That way, on our next meeting, you fully understand kind of what we do and what our approach is, and then we can really just focus our time on you and your situation. Do you think you'd be able to find like 30 minutes to watch that? Phrase it exactly like that, where it's in their benefit for them to watch it, right? That way we can focus all on you and put together a custom game plan for you after you watch it. Don't go too deep on this call. This is 5-10 minutes. This is a really important skill set, is being able just to go through a quick discovery, quick challenge, nothing too crazy on the challenge, overcome and reframe, and then send them something to watch, and then we talk to them tomorrow. So let's talk about how you can use this to increase your close rate and your average order value in literally 30 minutes every single day. Block out 30 minutes at the end of your day, have a calendar event, or you can do this just throughout the day as book calls come in, but it's good to have a reminder. Build your asset library. It shocks me how many offers they don't provide their closers with sales assets and videos that they can send out to their prospects. So collect value-based YouTube video. Think about like, what's the thing that you have to explain and educate your prospect on, which is like annoying to you. If your client doesn't have a YouTube video talking about it, get them to make one. It's going to help a lot. In addition to that, find contextual-based customer success stories, right? So interviews, case studies about different clients. You're not going to send a 22-year-old who made 10 grand a month to like a 45-year-old woman, right? You want to have case studies that your prospects can relate to. So it's good to have like 2 or 3 like really solid ones. And then what you're going to do is like, you're going to split test to see like what works the best, right? You're going to reference your closed deals and the people who pay you the most amount of money. You're going to see, all right, what kind of content did this guy consume before he bought? Great, let me use this more. And you want to kind of test it out to see what is most effective. Upsells. So this is easy money that you're leaving on the table. The reason why most people don't do upsells is because they feel weird asking for more money for some reason. Just understand that you do your prospects a disservice by not offering them more. The person that you sold group coaching to, because you don't feel comfortable asking them for more money and you think that you're going to give off a salesy vibe, now this person is stuck with group coaching and you're taking away the access that they could be getting and stopping them from seeing results a lot sooner, right? What's an upsell? New products and masterminds. In that example I gave you at the start of the video, how I went from 15K to 66K, there was a $25,000 mastermind that I sold in that 2-week period. This guy was a 5K. I sold him a 5K ticket almost a year earlier. And the mastermind that we were doing was in his city. I thought of him. I'd kept up like texts with him over the course of the year, and it was a really easy sale because of it. Group coaching to one-on-one. So this is pretty common. If you sell group coaching, you can probably upsell people into one-on-one for a few thousand extra dollars. If you don't have a one-on-one package, like talk to your client. See if you can add some like super expensive one-on-one component that you can upsell, right? It's good to have extra products to sell on the back end. Now, how do you go about doing this? Couple keys is, number one, good practice is to incorporate like a Sunday routine. This is something I always did. For 15 minutes, I would just text any new sales from the last 30 days just to check in, keep report, and open up upsell opportunities when they come. You want to make an offer ideally after your prospect had their first win, right? When they have like a bit of a dopamine rush, they launched their business, they made their first sale, they ran their first ad, it was 30 days officially into the program, they're having a good time, things like that. You don't need like insane wins to upsell people. Just, you want to make sure that they're progressing well, obviously. You want to solve based on future problems, which we'll touch on in a sec, and then add some urgency elements. So you're doing your weekly text, you're talking to people. What I would do is like usually once a month is when I would go for upsells, right? Like usually towards the end of the month, maybe mid-month, you're trying to pad your commissions. 2 approaches. One, you could go for like the mass text. Once a month, you literally just text all of your new sales or people who you think would be a good fit for this. This exactly. Hey, I just got word that we're opening up a few slots on one-on-one. Wanted to reach out to you first. I think it could make sense. Do you think you'd benefit from more hands-on guidance? They're either going to say, yes, I would. How much does it cost? Yeah, let's hop on a quick call and talk about it, right? Or they'll say, yeah, I think I would, but I don't know if I can afford that right now. I don't know if I can invest right now. You can usually set up like payment plans, right? I remember I had an offer where there was like a 3K and a 5K. 3K was group coaching, and then 5K had some one-on-one stuff. Like what I would do is I would get someone, they already completed their 3K, and then at the very least, bare minimum, I would get them like on 2 payments of $1,000 over the next 30 days, right? And it's like, just by once a month, you shoot out this text, you're just gonna get free sales and free cash coming in out of nowhere. 2, you could go for the call as well. So this is a little bit more indirect. So like if you know someone has the money and they're willing to invest into themselves, what you'll do is you'll shoot them a text. Hey, it's been about a month. You've been in the program. Just wanted to hop on a quick call and check in, see how you're doing. You got a few minutes? Great. You hop on, get them talking about their progress, right? So great. So how's everything been in the program? Awesome. What have you been working on? That's awesome. What kind of progress have you made with your business so far? We get them talking about all of the good things that have been going on. Then we widen the gap. So we show what's still missing. Okay, awesome. So congrats, man. You got your first sale. It's a big milestone. And I know you mentioned on our call when you first got started, like your goal is really to take this thing to like 20 grand a month and ultimately do this full time. So to actually get to that mark, I mean, like, what do you feel like you need to do differently going forward? Ask them that question, see what they're thinking. A lot of the times they won't have a great answer for that. And then that's where you can jump in and kind of label them with the problem, right? So like something like this, where it's like, yeah, and you know, like from what we found, like the people who kind of cross that bridge from, you know, making a side hustle and making a little bit of money on the side to actually like going full time with something like this, like it really comes down to developing a level of mastery when it comes to the business model. Sometimes like that can take a few months, sometimes it can take a couple of years, right? And that's actually why we started doing some one-on-one with some of our clients, just to really speed that process up. Did anybody tell you about that, like the one-on-ones that we're currently doing? Oh no, they didn't? Okay, well, like what do you think about potentially doing something like that, right? You kind of like ease into that offering that one-on-one program, for example, and then you present your thing. Works very well, very effective. You won't trigger that weird sales resistance. Like a lot of people think like, oh, like if I ask them for more money, like they're gonna get pissed off and like they're gonna ask for a refund for the main thing. I mean, if you do it in a way where it's like, yeah, like your current thing sucks, like you need to buy more if you want to be successful, it's not gonna work. But if you approach it exactly, like you approach the conversation exactly like I just explained, it'll go very smooth. Either you're gonna make sales or they're just gonna politely decline, whatever, it's not the end of the world. In sales, and especially in our industry, you're paid 100% commission, right? You're an entrepreneur. So the way that you need to think as an entrepreneur is, what are the most valuable uses of my time, right? What are the actions and activities that I make the most money doing? And then how can I optimize my entire day to spend the maximum amount of time doing those things? For you in sales, you have two most valuable uses of your time. One is being on call with qualified leads. Two is generating qualified leads. Therefore, every single minute not spent on book calls need to be used to generate opportunities for yourself if you want to maximize the amount of money that you're making on your offer. And a lot of people just don't do this. A lot of closers, they get on the calendar, they take their book calls. And yes, I understand that, you know, taking a book call, it's a different section of your brain than doing an outbound. It's a different approach. But at the end of the day, from what I've seen, like if you're doing absolutely zero outbound and you're taking less than 6 calls a day, honestly, you're either just being lazy or there's like an ego thing. How I would approach outbound as a closer, because the way that you're going to approach it is not the same way that you would if you're a full-time appointment setter, for example. We want to generate 1 extra call a day. If we can do more than that, awesome. But if we can generate 1 extra call a day, we can do like 25 extra calls a month. If you have a decent show rate, close rate, you're getting like what, 6, 7 extra deals in every single month because you're doing a couple hours a day of outbound. So how I would go about it, organize your list, figure out what kinds of leads you have access to, no shows, new purchases, new opt-ins, old leads, people who have already been dialed but haven't been closed, etc. Figure out some type of consistent schedule that you can commit to, right? Tell yourself, I'm going to do 2 hours a day of dialing and I'm going to block off these hours to do it. Or you can tell yourself, you know, hey, I'm going to do 50 dials a day every day. Figure out some kind of non-negotiable benchmark that you can hit on a daily basis and actually hit it. I don't know if I'd say hard qualification, but I would definitely qualify a lot harder. And this just depends on how busy you are, right? Like if you're taking 6, 7 calls a day and I want to book in an extra 1 or 2 calls daily, like I want to make sure that those are going to be quality leads. So on the call, I'm going to qualify pretty hard. Now, if you're getting like 2 or 3 book calls a day, you should be booking the maximum amount of people on your calendar, like non-negotiable. Like don't just wait for the setters to do it for you. Like jump in and do it yourself. You're going to be way better than those setters are. I would be triaging every single prospect, following the same framework I gave you before, where I'm sending them material to watch, I'm qualifying pretty hard, following up with them, etc., to make sure that if I'm going to put anybody on my calendar, they're actually going to be good. And track your stats, right? Like I think the biggest reason why people don't do outbound is because it's a grind, right? And it's like not as rewarding and fun as closing is, right? I think when you track your stats, from what I've found, when you track your numbers, right? Your dials, your pickups, your book calls, your close rate, and then you track it week by week and you make little adjustments and you try to improve different things. Now you kind of turn it into a bit more of a game, right? You can set goals around it and it becomes a lot more fun and engaging, right? The math here, just to really drive this point home, right? Doing 50 dials a day for 2 hours a day, okay? You get 10 prospects to pick up. Out of those 10, conservatively, you book in 1 call. At a 30% close rate on those calls, you're getting an extra deal every 3 days, okay? That's 10 deals extra every single month because you're spending 2 hours a day doing outbound. Let's say you have an average cash collected of $1,500. Now you just made an extra $15,000 in total sales. You made an extra $1,500 in commissions, and you probably have payment plans coming in month over month because of the extra sales that you made. This is massive, right? And I mean, really, again, one of the main reasons you won't do this is I've seen a lot of guys that get their ego involved. Don't let your ego get in the way of you making more money, okay? How should you approach approach sales training, okay? What you want to do is you want to attack the lowest hanging fruit. We want to figure out how can we put the minimum amount of effort into sales training to get the maximum result. This is exactly how you do it. You're going to create a list of every call that you've taken in the last month. Out of all of those calls, you're going to identify the qualified leads that didn't close, and you're going to make a new list with those. On that new list, you're going to document the objections that you got with those missed opportunities and the customer archetype, right? Was it like a high ego A-type prospect? Was it like a slow-paced move away type prospect? Was it, a 19-year-old? Was it a 40-year-old woman? You want to identify what kinds of archetypes as well that you're missing. Now, we want to uncover the root causes, right? You can get 10, I want to think about it objections, but everyone could be a different reason. Some might be they don't believe they're going to see results. Some might be they don't really have the urgency, right? There's different reasons for I want to think about it. So on that new list, you're going to write down their objection, their customer archetype, and the root cause of their objection, okay? You're going to take 20 minutes to do this. And the reason why you want to do that is because we want to prevent those objections, okay? It's a lot easier to prevent objections from coming up before you've dropped the price. It's a lot easier to deal with it then than after. Once we've identified the most common objections and the root causes, we're going to figure out what comes up the most, right? So let's say you had 10 missed opportunities and 6 of them were belief objections, and then 3 of them were wife objections, and 1 of them they wanted to do like research or something. All we're going to be focusing our training on is the belief objection. We're not going to think about anything else until we have that down. So the way that you're going to do it is you want to do this with actionables. For example, you might say, all right, I'm going to tell a client story on every single call this week. Great. On every single call, you tell a testimonial about someone that worked with you who crushed it. All right. And then at the end of the week, you're going to review your numbers and you're going to adjust, right? You're going to see, all right, did that actionable actually make a difference? How many belief objections am I getting now, right? Let's say this week you got 4. Awesome. We're moving in the right track. If that's still the most common thing, we're going to continue to focus on that. Also, in addition, I would also say if you're noticing you're getting one objection a lot, focus on what you can control, being like on your sales calls. But in addition to that, talk to your marketing team. Say, hey, I'm getting this specific objection over and over and over again. This is what I'm doing differently on calls to handle it. How can we incorporate like some front-end marketing material to prevent this from coming up in the first place, right? That's a pro tip for you. Definitely do that. Now, we just went over a lot of things here, right? We went over sales training, we went over outbound, we went over upsells, triage calls. You might have learned something on this video, but how can you actually implement all of this immediately to start making more money? All right, I'm gonna give you a free gift to help you do that. So this right here is the closer dashboard that I use with all my closers. This is required that everybody uses it. This is gonna help you do a couple things. Earlier in this video, when I told you to make a list of all of your calls from the last month, you're probably thinking like, fuck, I don't even remember the calls that I took 2 days ago, right? Like I'm gonna have to go back, listen to call recordings, fuck that, I'm not even gonna make the list. When you use a dashboard like this, and I'll show you how to use it, what this allows you to do is basically pinpoint exactly what you're struggling with, allowing you to determine what you need to focus on skill-wise to get better, right? Where we can determine our most common objection and our most common missed opportunity was this type of customer. All I'm gonna work on improving is that. And then we can systematically get better at sales. So basically what you do is date, goal, calls booked for the day, write down a couple notes to start the day. Every single lead that you speak to is gonna be right here. You're gonna write down the reason for the sale or the reason why you missed the sale, and specifically the missed opportunity. So the missed opportunities, the qualified leads that could have been closed, those are the only leads that you want to give any attention to. So you're going to highlight it, and then you're going to go here at the end of your day, right? So it's important that you reflect on what you're doing well, right? I think Brian Tracy was talking about this, where your brain is a funny way of working, where like you'll keep doing the bad things when you reinforce the bad things, right? So it's like you want to reinforce the good things. What did you do right today? And then we're going to write down what we would have done differently. So like on that one missed opportunity, what would have been the thing that you needed to do earlier on in the call to close that deal, right? Write down exactly what that thing is. And then tomorrow, that's going to be your beginning of day note, where if you run into a similar situation, like you're not going to make the same mistake twice. This right here, taking 10 minutes every single day to fill this out, drop a couple notes and think about your day to reflect on what you messed up on and what you did right. This is the difference between people who see like massive growth in a short amount of months versus someone who stays in the exact same spot for years, right? It's literally taking 5 to 10 minutes every day to reflect on what you're doing good and what you're doing bad. And then in addition to that, you can also track all of your stats right here, and then you can also track your outbound activities, right? And then there's also a dashboard here to track all your KPIs. You can use this over weeks, months, and quarters. And there's also a sales dashboard as well, right? If you want access to this, shoot me a DM on Instagram. You'll see that linked in the description down below. Just text me or DM me a spreadsheet and I'll shoot this over to you. That's it for this video, guys. Like I said, I wanted to to get super tactical with you guys today. Let me know if you like this style of video. This is one of those things where it's like, for me personally, when I watch content online, I'm looking for tactical shit. What are things that I can do that make me more money? I wish someone told me this when I was first starting out in sales. So I hope you take action on all of this. Let me know in the comments down below, like what kind of results you get from it. I'd love to hear what you guys see. But anyways, that's it for this video. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.